Hi everyone, Sensei Ross here. Today I'm talking to you about the fifth senior kata. So the fifth senior kata is also known as the Daisuke Li Yang kata, which means double strike dragon. The double strike is how we start the kata off, and the dragon stance, which we incorporate for the first time in our katas, is how we finish the kata. So that's where the name Daisuke Li Yang comes from. Yang, we just did the fourth senior kata, which was a soft kata, a yin kata. This kata is a yang kata, so it's a lot harder, stronger. The temptation with this kata is to rush through all the techniques. But you really need to do the technique strong and hard, but you need to see that pause between each attacker coming through. So we don't want you rushing it. We need to see it powerful, but we also need to see those pauses between attackers. So I'll get into it. The fifth kata starts in our traditional kata stance. So Hagadachi, Hosogadachi, Yui, fist together. And when fifth senior kata is called, again this is a preemptive strike when we start the kata. There's no block to start with. We step forward straight into a double strike. So from the kata's name, Daisuke, a double strike. So we step in, we just do a Jodan Suki, head strike, Chudan Suki. And we're going to follow that up with another Jodan Chudan Suki to an attacker on the left hand side of us. So we're going to have to pivot really fast because we're going to take first attacker out, then we're going to turn straight away and do two strikes to the second attacker. There's a little bit more involved with the second attacker. So I'll show you how that works in reality. So fifth senior kata, Hajime. So you saw the two strikes there. Pivot straight off the right with that Jodan Suki and followed up with the left Chudan Suki. So there's four strikes straight away where we've taken out two attackers. 1, 2, 3, 4. We follow up with a short, sharp Maigeri straight up into that solar plexus, which is going to buckle that opponent. So as he cops that, or he or she cops that kick to the stomach, it's going to make them bend over. It's going to wind them, and it's going to put them basically in your lap, and that's when we do our double shudo. Double shudo strike is we're aiming for both sides of the neck. In reality we'd stop there, but in the actual kata we show the follow through. So we're there. See a lot of people in this kata doing that shudo strike up there. It's not the case. The person has buckled over, they're basically in your lap height. So you just do the double shudo. So now that you understand that, let's see that again. So there's a double shudo. We've got another attacker coming from back here. So we look to our right, we step back, and we're going to do that wall block. Lower block, upper tissue, protecting our jaw and our entire right hand side. We then start those double strikes off again. So we're going to lead off our left this time. So we're going to step forward, 1, 2, look to our right, 1, 2. Same thing, Maigeri, double shudo. So that sequence looks like this. Okay, so done the same technique on both sides, just with right foot, left foot Maigeris. We've finished on this in this stance here. We've got an attacker coming from a 45. So what we're going to do with this attacker on the 45 is drive their leg down using a kensetsugeri. But you remember in the second kata, the kensetsugeri is chambered. We land in shigadachi. We still land in shigadachi with this in the fifth kata, but we ride the leg down. So it looks like this. And get down into that shigadachi stance. So first thing we've got to do is a soto block though, because there's a strike coming at us. So Soto block, drive down, and we're going to step through and do a palm heel into the chin. Because we've driven our opponent down into that, basically dropped him on the floor, you've driven his leg down into the mat. We're going to come out and put a palm heel strike up under his chin, or her chin. Okay, so it's just a strike like that. Looks a little bit like a underhand chisel fist, but in reality we're hitting with that part of our palms. You talk about two-shoe block, this is a two-shoe strike, okay? With the palm of the heel of our palm. So we're over here. We've stayed nice and low through that. So as we've come down, Shigedachi, we're staying low. We stay low all the way through. So I'm still in Shigedachi stance here. Palm heel. That attack is finished. I've got another person coming from here with a strike. So again, Soto block. Stepping up, Kensetsugiri. Reach chamber, back fist, protecting with my ribs. Protecting my ribs with my hand with a lower tissue block, and it's an iriken to the face, back fist. You can see that I've landed that in Shigedachi, and I just turn that into a deep stance. I'm just going to finish that video there, and I'll take you through the finish on the next one. Hi everybody, Sensei Ross back. Going to finish that 5th senior kata. So this is part 2. You will recall I talked about the pauses in between attackers. So hopefully you're picking that up as we're going through. Again, like all the other katas, we've got to make sure that we look before we do anything. So we need to turn our heads before we start throwing strikes or blocks. So just ensure that when you're doing your katas, you're making sure your head's turning first, so your eyes are picking up what's coming at you, and that you're throwing the techniques correctly after you've actually looked, so you're not just throwing them blindly. We finished that kata on the first part of the video. We're in Shigedachi stance. We've just done an iriken to the face, and we were protecting our ribs, so we're in Shigedachi stance. So to complete this kata, we're going to turn to the front, but we're going to turn into a Zenkutsudachi stance. And we're going to do that, that Kung Fu block that we did in the 4th kata. So that's where we end up after the Shigedachi. So straight into a deep stance. We do a Kingari double upper block. My right hand is in front, protecting our head. So that upper block is nice and high. I don't want to see upper blocks here. It's got to be up nice and high. And we're going to throw a Furiuchi strike. Furiuchi is it's like a hook, still vertical strike, and we're hitting with those 2 knuckles. So we've got to make sure that's the impact zone. So left hand comes from behind, Furiuchi. We follow that up with a Mawashigiri. So we come up and we put our hand in front of our face. We're then going to do a Sonbonsuki, 3 strikes, 1 Jodansuki, 2 Chudansukis, followed by a groin strike. So that's why I'm in that dragon stance. We talked about the dragon stance at the start, and we talked about the name of the kata. That's really deep. So that back leg is like a tail. So you can see my ball of my foot is on the ground, heel is up. Whereas a Zenkutsudachi stance, heel is on the ground. This is deeper again, so it's that dragon stance. Okay, so that's how you need to finish. That gets you low. You're basically striking at the groin to finish. So that's the final sequence from the Shigedachi stance. We turn Zenkutsudachi, Kung Fu block, Kingari, double upper block, Furiuchi, Washigiri, protecting our face, straight into a Sonbonsuki. Hey! And we finish the kata. We hold that dragon stance for a couple of seconds, as you saw there. We want to see your balance, the fact that you can throw a strong strike and finish that kata as strong as you can. So that is a yang kata. It is strong, but doesn't mean you have to rush through the kata, okay? So always think about the next attacker. You need to understand what's happening first, so you always look, and that's where the pause is. So hopefully that's been of benefit to you, and that will improve your kata.